What's shaking and baking, all you hip, cool cats? My name is Kit, and welcome on and all to Chicago Reacts. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit that ring bell notification. That way, all of you are made aware when we upload new content onto our YouTube channel. And today, we got ourselves a fun Warhammer 40k related video, but it's not about Warhammer 40k content or any of the new characters coming out. It has to deal with bolter guns. Guns. Warhammer 40k. Bolter action weapons. So this video is from GameSpot titled Firearms Expert Reacts to Warhammer 40k Bolt Guns. So, as always, for everyone watching our YouTube channel, we do post the original link to the video in the description box below, and we encourage all of you to please support the original content creators. Why? Because it's the right thing to do, and I will think you're a hip, cool cat if you do that. So, guys and gals, I'll grab yourself a tasty snack and a tasty beverage, sit back and relax, and let's learn more about, well, bolt guns from Warhammer 40k. Speaking of which as well, we did recently do a react video to the same YouTube channel's explanation on Bioshock weapons. So I'm expecting to get our learn on. So let's get ready to enjoy this and pull up this video and react to it. And since I'm in charge of the ones and twos, let's get ready to play this video in a 3, a 2, a 1.
This is Jonathan Ferguson, the keeper of firearms and artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And this week he's taking a look at new Warhammer 40,000 boomer shooter, Boltgun.
This is probably a rabbit hole I can ill afford to go down.
Make sure to subscribe.
That's what she said.
And let us know what other games or guns you'd like to see Jonathan break down in the comment section below. And make sure to check out our other Warhammer related video where we have an armor expert break down the arms and armor of Warhammer. Right, let's take a look at the grimdark weapons of Boltgun.
Heretics to purge. Ready your weapon.
Yes!
So still just looking at the overview of the classic bolter here. I'm always going to be struck by the fact there's no buttstock on it. The winged skull, the symbolism, the gold and the red, it's a sort of imperial / religious overtones to a weapon that I'm hard pressed to...
Don't start disrespecting what the Emperor has forged for his glorious angels to take into battle.
Think of a real world parallel to at the moment. We have sort of gilding and even velvet on royal firearms going way back to Henry VIII, so that's not so unusual. I've seen skulls on guns. There's a set of dueling pistols that
glorious.
Our former gunmaker here at the Armories had in once that had skulls on the breeches. That was in gold. That I was very taken with. Ammunition wise, we get a nice shot of the round in the magazine as it goes in, and then we see them sitting on the table, and they are closest parallel is the 40mm grenade round that we have today, but apparently, and we'll see how much this is significant in the game, it's a rocket bullet still in a case. So there's still a case that is ejected, but then we have those of you who've been following us for a while might remember this chunk of wood. That's how far a gyrojet bullet penetrated into a piece of pine. But it's suffice to say, if it can go that far into wood at any distance, it's not going to do you any favors. I've shown the gyrojet pistol on the series before, so I thought, what can I do better than that? 2 gyrojet pistols is the best. We have a Mark 1 and we have a Mark 2C, Mark 12mm gyrojet. So this was designed by MB Associates. And it's essentially a sheet metal, almost like a toy gun is how it feels, with a steel barrel mounted.
All right, I do have a request from all of you hip, cool cats. If there is a video out there showing that weapon being fired, I'd like to see it. Brandon Herrera, not going to tell you what to do, but I think you need to fire this weapon. Just throwing it out there.
Within it that is really more of a launch rail for these miniature rockets, and there is no case. They are caseless rocket projectiles, and there are little exhaust vents in the back of them there. So how the bolter rounds really work, I don't know, but there is a significant difference there in that they are still cased for whatever reason. It's not clear to me why they would still need to be cased. except that it looks damn cool.
Kill the heretic!
Filling out of a big handheld grenade launcher, which to me is still what this thing feels like.
Yes, yes!
Something we never would have seen back in the day with the original era of shooters that this is harking back to is the ability to fit different size magazines. You had what you had. It's kind of cool to see a machine gun-esque, LMG-esque, or some sort of big box magazine attached here to give you more capacity. You get 10 rounds extra in these big chunky magazines, which is probably about right actually, given how massive the rounds are. It's more about the effect that they're having. So we've got purple coloured vengeance rounds here.
Yes.
It's intriguing that we've got some aspects of modern gaming projected
Kill the heretics. Kill the heretics!
backwards into this era of graphics. But yeah,
Oh, beautiful. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, that... Yes.
So the shotgun and bolt gun is, for the Warhammer nerds among us, interesting because it's a very specific shotgun. It's the Deathwatch shotgun, which
Okay.
is used by Deathwatch Space Marines who are focused in like going into alien-infested asteroids and space hulks. And it's also, I think, the only shotgun that's going to really suit the scale of a Space Marine as well. In game, it's less strong than the bolter. Like you see a strength rating in the bottom right. But against the unarmored enemies and the mobs, it's very effective.
right, next
Love it.
we've got what I think is evident from the design language and the ammunition and the way we've got the same trails for the shots and everything, that this is a giant pump action shotgun that is suitably proportioned and sized for giant dudes in.
What we need now is an automatic shotgun for the Space Marines.
Power armor. I normally at this point would complain about
Die, heretics!
on a far future, very far future in this case, weapon. I think the rule of cool is sufficiently powerful in this context that even I am obliged to not care about that. And yeah, it works. It does the job, fills the niche.
You know what? I think this is up there with one of my favorite videos to react to. We're seeing Warhammer 40k violence and gore. We're learning something, and we got some pleasant music in the background. How's your day doing? Are you doing good? I hope you're winning. Keep on winning, you hip cool cats. And I'm so glad that you're joining us here at Chicago Reacts. Warhammer 40k, chill music, and learning. What more could you ask for?
Is clearly destructive. There's clearly something going on in terms of what I'm struck by in the shots of buckshot. Can we call it buckshot? Going down range is that there are these trails, and when they strike something, there's this sort of heat impression of a hot impact, just like the bolt gun rounds. So
Ugh.
I gather that these would be effectively bolter shot shells. Each pellet, effectively, presumably, is some sort of rocket-propelled round. So it gives it a visual distinctiveness on firing. It appears to do less damage to armored enemies, which you'd expect. Although, in a way, there's no reason why that would necessarily be the case with far future technology. You could create a spread effect with rounds that are just as penetrative as rifle rounds. But of course, if you do that, you are making essentially one gun to rule them all, and you needn't have multiple weapons, and you need multiple weapons in an FPS. On the face of it, it's fitting the shotgun niche. It's got the reduced rate of fire, but significant damage, and the power-ups are interesting. In a 90s style, we are effectively powering up the weapon for a period of time. We are not upgrading it and unlocking abilities like a modern game. Right? So I like that. I'm also seeing things flash up on screen like +2 contempt. So there are clearly some role-playing or tabletop aspects
Contempt
into this that I am probably completely unaware of, and some that I'm seeing but not really understanding the context of. And that's great. That's probably, Easter eggs for Warhammer players, and if the rest of us can look them up and get into the wider universe or not. But it's looking really good.
Very good.
The contempt thing is a reference to a line in a book somewhere, but basically Space Marines will often say, my armor is contempt, like my armor is hatred. So you're just getting angrier and more hateful as you go on.
Oh, I
Lets you
see.
shrug off damage.
Oh, there you go. Oh, so yeah, not so much a mechanic as a, yeah, more of an Easter egg, really.
Glorious.
As a inveterate Doom player, I can't help but see this plasma gun and think plasma gun off of Doom. But
Yes, the plasma gun, or, the weapon that I use the most, especially playing Warhammer Dark Crusade, Dawn of War, Dark Crusade. I don't know, maybe my memory isn't as good as it used to be, but I remember whenever I was facing off against the foul Necrons, I was always sure to upgrade all my Imperial Guardsmen with the plasma rifles, and we always won the day with those beautiful, beautiful, glorious plasma rifles. There's just something about them that's so awesome. I even remember it wasn't a plasma gun, but I guess I would compare it to that weapon, the pulse rifle from Turok Dinosaur Hunter. That was my favorite weapon to use, especially shooting against the Long Hunter, or when you defeat the Long Hunter. That's when you get the plasma gun.
I'm very aware that that's not the only place these things exist. Major difference here would seem to be, well, a couple of differences, I suppose. One is area effect, so in that respect, it's a bit more like a BFG, but not fully. So it's sort of splash damage.
Yes.
Sort of intuitively makes sense to me. Plasma, hot, splashy. I'm sure that's not how it works in physics terms. We have the heat rate of fire thing that we've seen in other games where it's getting, well, some not always tied together, but it's increasing its rate of fire the more you fire it. But it's what usually happens is it damages the gun, or it reaches a point and you're shown to hurt yourself, but you don't take damage necessarily, and then it's a wait for it to reset. This actually does seem to damage you when it gets too hot. I'm not sure how that works with armor-clad hands. If it's hot enough to damage you through the armor, then the armor would be trashed, surely. But hey, I shouldn't be looking for realism in this grimdark future that we are observing.
When I played the game Deshwing, I know it's called Deathwing, but I call it Deshwing, spelled Deshwing. I know that's how I jokingly titled the game when I played it on Chicago Plays on our Twitch channel. I liked using the plasma weapon. It was my favorite. It was my favorite weapon to use against the foul gene stealers.
It's a little hard to comment on mechanics and things of energy weapons. Suffice to say, there's a power pack and lots of light and some particle effects going down range, but it's visibly different. And I suppose the good thing for the game, at least, is this is a universe where energy weapons have a niche, but they're not sort of predominant, I think it's fair to say. So they might burn through armor or something, but they may be less effective in other ways and maybe dangerous as well. I think it's quite a nice way to treat energy weapons so that you can still have your Blade Runner / Aliens projectile slug throwers, if you're a Star Wars fan, but also your energy weapons. And I guess that's kind of where we've bottomed out with sci-fi these days. Is it doesn't have to be just gritty slug throwers or Flash Gordon ray guns. You can have both, depending on what you want.
Yes! Yes!
Right, another bolt gun. I think, by my count, that's 3 bolt guns in this bolt gun game. That's good. And it's a heavy bolter, which I have heard of. And my impression is that this is like a belt-fed LMG equivalent of an ordinary bolter. It being belt-fed isn't really apparent. I suppose you can you get a hint of a feed mechanism that's more machine gun-like on the left side next to a skull, because of course there's a skull.
There has to be a skull.
Chunky. We have an overhand.
It's big and it's chunky. That's what she said. I had to. I'm not going to apologize.
And grip, which does sort of reference how you hold a light machine gun, where you would grasp the buttstock and pull it into the shoulder instead of supporting the weapon at the front. because you have a bipod. This doesn't have a bipod, but nonetheless, somehow the hold of it does imply something heavier and chunkier and more powerful. Muzzle flash is also increased. Report sound.
That's what she said. Sorry, not sorry.
Oddly muted. I don't know if there's a sort of in-universe reason for that, but it's not so muted that it doesn't come across as a big heavy gun. So thinking about, I can't help but think about how this would work if it was real. It's an affliction. What can I say? Is just because it has what appears to be a primer on the cartridge head does not mean that this isn't electrically fired. It's perfectly possible that this is electrically initiated. There are, going right back to the 1890s, there were electrically fired primers. But for example, there's a 1-inch aiming rifle that is like a sub-caliber spotting or training, actually, weapon for massive coastal artillery pieces. So you're firing a 1-inch caliber round. They look not unlike bolter rounds. That's electrically fired. So a very early form of electrical ignition. So just because there's a...
I've never heard of that before. If there's any videos like that we should check out, your feedback, that's right, you, the audience, your feedback is greatly, greatly appreciated, because I'd like to know where to check that out.
Round primer in the base doesn't mean it's designed to be pierced, which means I don't have to nitpick the fact that there aren't struck primers on the cases.
Yes!
Okay, pause there. Now, I've heard of a melter gun.
They're mostly used as like anti-armor, anti-tank, and
okay.
I don't know if the laws change, but from memory, they either work by shooting a cone of like fusion energy, or focusing like microwaves to agitate the atoms, basically.
The melter gun, the most glorious of the weapons. My heart's saying, and I'm sure your heart's saying too.
But in layman's, big hot thing, punch hot hole through other thing. That's all you need to know.
I think you should use that clip in a video. Okay, another very cool looking weapon. A type I've heard of, a melter gun. I don't know much about them, but I've heard of them. And something to do with heat is going on here. This could be a complete red herring, guys, but if you've heard of a shaped charge, this is a phenomenon whereby a high explosive charge shaped into a hollow.
Perfect.
Punch through armor way more effectively than just a block of explosives. It's the principle behind, among other things, the RPG-7 warhead. Recoilless guns use it as well, and there's a lot of heat involved, but it is not using heat to punch through the armor, despite the acronym High Explosive Anti-Tank. Now, this is clearly an anti-armor weapon. It's making short work of these Chaos Space Marines here. This weapon uses heat. The High Explosive Anti-Tank weapon, or warhead, does not. It actually converts a piece of metal into a hypervelocity jet of particles that punch their way through the molecules.
Get it?
That's my museum curator's level understanding of it. Don't know if that's of any use at all here. This is a future science fiction technology, but we definitely get the feel of this thing, that it is punching or trying to punch through solid metal. I don't know. I think I probably thought a melter gun was some sort of flame incinerator type explosive weapon. I hadn't appreciated that it was effectively an anti-armor gun.
If I remember my codex, I think lists it as creates a beam of energy in the tens of thousands of degrees centigrade.
Just facing off against the foul servants of Nurgle. Ugh. All of a sudden, I just can't help but think just how horrible they smell.
Okay.
It's the point where people nearby having to like squint and blink away flashes of heat and light from it. It's always very intense when it appears in books and lore.
Right. Well, I think they seem to have captured it pretty well here in that game.
There's a guy named Jürgen in the Caiaphas Kane.
Jürgen. Caiaphas Kane, hero of the Imperium. Just had to throw that out there.
Books, which is basically as close to Blackadder as you can get in 40k. So I really recommend them. and
Okay.
he's on more than one occasion just like blown a demon in half with this thing.
This is probably a rabbit hole I can ill afford to go down.
Again, that's what she said.
Oh yeah.
I have high hopes for Mr. Cavill and friends, though.
All right, this challenge just earned my approval. 10 out of 10. All the best to Henry Cavill, and especially making a live-action Warhammer 40k series if it's done. But again, I don't want what happened to Star Wars happen to Warhammer 40k. I would be saddened if that was the case. Yes.
All right. It's a rotary grenade launcher. It breaks open, much like the Milcor MGL. We've shown an early version of that from the collection before, so I've branched out slightly. This is something I need to do some research on. One of a number of less lethal launchers. This is not actually intended to be, unlike the Milcor, a lethal purpose grenade launcher, but it does have the rotary function. Doesn't break open. It has a loading gate. Not a million miles away. If anything, it's longer proportionately than the one in the game. The one in the game is, again, Space Marine sized. It's clearly immense. I don't think a normal human could pick that up. No buttstock. This definitively has a very big buttstock. Recommended for a riot gun like this or for a grenade launcher. It's really not a good idea. The recoil of modern grenades, 40mm type grenades, is not huge by any means, but if you want to hit what you're aiming at, even if it's an area effect, you do want a buttstock. So the Milcor typically has a folding or a telescoping buttstock, depending on the variant. So what is this thing? Well, I don't quite know yet. It's something from the collection that my predecessors would be aware of. I need to go and look it up. But it's called the Excalibur. So it struck me as being vaguely Warhammer reminiscent with such a sort of mythological name.
That's so cool that it's called Excalibur. That is great. Not enough stuff about King Arthur or Excalibur out there these days. Hashtag it's gotta return.
my excuse anyway. So I'll be looking into this. Those of you who follow the Royal Armouries channel, please forget about it because I'll probably feature it in the future. Details wise, a couple of pipes on the side there. Don't know what they're doing, but this appears, it's not clear how this is revolved, if it was a real thing, which obviously it isn't. Reloading is a gigantic revolver speed loader, which is quite funny. And to think that our Space Marine hero has somewhere behind him a great big pile, or maybe an assistant with a cart filled with grenades.
Yes, there's probably a servitor right behind him. Why not? Why not? There will be a servitor always with the glorious Space Marines.
Speed loaders. Who cares? Not only is it an FPS, it's a Warhammer FPS as well. So I'm not going to worry about that. But just in case we're concerned that there aren't enough skulls on our weapons, there is also one on this too.
Good. Yes.
Going down another nerdy rabbit hole, this thing is called a Volkite Caliver. They're immensely powerful,
Okay.
but bolt guns eventually replaced them after the Horus Heresy. This weapon's probably 10,000 years old.
That's right. And only, I believe the Planetary Defense Forces of Holy Terra actually have a good stockpile in their collection, which reminds me, I want to ask you, the most diehard Warhammer 40k fans. I know that the planet Terra is heavily defended, one of the most heavily defended planets in the Imperium. But has there ever been like a detachment of forces from Terra sent to serve in other war zones? Has that ever been the case? Has that ever been done before? I always wanted to know if that was the case, if they ever served. And I don't want to use the wiki. I mean, I'm asking some of the most diehard Warhammer 40k fans. You guys, the audience. Was that ever the case with any of the regiments or battalions on Holy Terra? I'd like to hear your answer.
In the timeline of this game? Yeah, Caliver being a name that's sort of associated with very old firearms stuck out as well.
So is it the idea that bolt guns are actually a throwback compared to this thing?
Bolt guns were, I believe, built out of necessity. Like all the forge planets that could make this sort of thing were lost or destroyed. Whereas
Right.
bolt guns, by comparison, were easier to make and figure out than this
Yeah.
intense laser technology. After the
makes
dark
sense.
age of technology, they just forgot how to make them, so they're legendary weapons now.
Now this is something entirely new to me. The phrase that comes to mind is grimdark phaser.
Perfect analogy.
Being something of a track fan, this is like someone's unbolted a shipborne phaser and is toting it around. This is the beam size and strength and effect, and it feels more industrial. But it is a beam weapon, changing up the gameplay quite as far as you can with an FPS, really.
Perfect. Damn!
I've just realized that not only the power-ups are 3D, but the weapon models are also 3D until you pick them up.
So this thing's called the Grav Cannon. It's the last weapon you get in the game, the most powerful. A weird one even in Warhammer, but broadly, it turns gravity up. So if you're hit by this beam, it turns that person's gravity up, its mass against them, and just basically swish.
Okay.
Ah!
I saw the name.
I never knew that before. I guess I'm going to issue that to all my guardsmen when facing off against the Tyranids.
And I saw the weapon being picked up. I thought perhaps it was going to be like the Half-Life gravity gun, or in some way manipulating gravity. I think it's supposed to be. Well, ultimately, it looks like it's creating a black hole out of green space energy, and that is just pulping the enemy. So the end result is the same as getting destroyed by basically any weapon in the game. There's not
Oh, I think there's a difference. Oh, I think there's a huge difference.
a specific type of damage that it's causing, I don't think. Say, you know, no, people aren't being spaghettified. That's a real thing. Look it up.
I never knew that, spaghettified. I'll have to. I guess I will have to look that up. I've never heard of it before.
Actually, if you've seen certain recent Marvel offerings, you might have seen a version of that. But that's, you know, what happens if you get too close to.
Oh yeah, what happened to Mr. Fantastic in Doctor Strange 2? That wasn't a good movie. I'm sorry. Look, I'm not a fan of what Disney has done to Marvel and Star Wars. Disney should have stopped at Endgame. And I don't know what the hell they were thinking with Star Wars. Just, yeah. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I'm not changing it.
The event horizon of a black hole. Perhaps that's a bit sort of hand waved, but it's like a BFG 9000, but a beam weapon, and it's pulping you with a black hole. It looks pretty cool. I can't say too much about it because it's so far removed from what I know. But as what appears to be the ultimate weapon in the game, probably can't do much better than that. Those were the guns of Warhammer 40k Boltgun, which I've had my eye on for a while myself, and I'm looking forward to giving that a go. So it's nice to get an extended preview of all the weapons from the game. Looking forward to that. If you'd like to see a bit of what we do at the Royal Armouries, we have our own YouTube channel. We also have social media outlets and a website, and 3 actual museums that you can visit if you're in the UK at any point. I hope you do. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time.
All right. You know, what a relaxing video. You know, you're hearing, again, a proper analysis and analogy and comparison to some of these weapons in real life, or either that, a good rundown of some scientific facts. You got some nice chill music in the background, and you got some Warhammer 40k stuff. So this video was also recommended to us for us to react to. And you guys, our audience, you guys and gals, you hip cool cats, you guys are always on point, and I can't thank you enough for all your support in helping us build up this YouTube channel. We can't thank you enough. I mean, geez Louise. I mean, I think we're a couple of thousand away to getting to 100K, which is incredible. It's not a lot of channels can get to that point, and all of you are making it happen. And we thank you, we thank you, we thank you. But do you want to know what you could do for us too? Please support all of the original content creators that we have reacted to. Again, all the videos, all the original links are in the description box below. Please support the original content creators because, again, a lot of time and effort is made into making these awesome videos for us to react to. And supporting the original content creators is, well, it's the right thing to do, okay? Come on, it's the Chicago way. We're Chicago Reacts. Come on, we encourage you to do the right thing. Do the right thing. So no matter where you're at in the world, please take good care of yourselves. Keep on winning. Keep your heads on a swivel. And if there's any other videos like this that you want us to react to, give us your feedback. We have a Discord as well. Take care. All the best to you, and bye-bye.